For over 35 years, the Cacciatore family has provided state-of-the-art auto collision repairs. V&J Auto Body is not only certified to repair all makes and models, V&J is one of the few auto body repair shops certified by Tesla to repair and recalibrate their automobiles, as well as other electric and hybrid vehicles. Detailed repairs combined with award-winning concierge service makes V&J the only choice for your collision repair needs. V&J will pick up your automobile wherever on Long Island you are, provide you with a rental, and deliver your vehicle when the job is complete. Too good to be true? Visit VJAutobody.com. That's VJAutobody.com. Come over and meet the crew. VJ Auto Body's 2 state-of-the-art facilities are equipped with the latest technologies in auto repair. Let V&J communicate with your insurance company for you and deliver back to you a detailed, perfectly repaired vehicle. Contact V&J Auto Body by visiting VJAutobody.com or call 631-226-0070. That's 631-226-0070. Hey, welcome everyone to another great episode of Crash Course Radio. I am your humble host, Peter Crouch. Hey, as I said, before we get going here, first I want to say we have an amazing guest with us here this afternoon. We have Greg Hill, returning guest. Greg's been with us a few times in the past, and we're really happy he's here today. And we're going to get into a discussion on something that's very near and dear to to me, and I'm certain to most of our listeners out there. All right, we're going to take a deep dive into the old total loss. All right, I've spoken about that at length here. All right, on other episodes, and we've got none other than the pro here with us today, Greg. So Greg is going to get into it with me in a little later, and we're going to be discussing all kinds of stuff involved with total loss. All right, and folks know all about total loss. Right, it's one of those nefarious moving pieces of insurance out there. All right, we've probably heard about it either through family and friends, right, or maybe even experienced it, right? But as usual, most people have either the wrong idea or the wrong information or inaccurate information or incomplete information, and most likely don't understand it in totality. And it is very important because if your car is ever deemed a total, which means the insurance company is not going to be repairing your car, all right, you should understand what that involves, all right? It's just not as simple as, well, here's a check and good luck and, whatever you want to do with the money, all right? There's a lot of moving parts with that process, okay, and a lot of steps, all right? Some of which could land you in a worse position or not in the best financial outcome, all right, if you don't know what's expected, all right, of that outcome, all right? So having Greg here and to discuss his company, Value Adjust. All right, he's going to help clarify a lot of those mysterious issues surrounding total loss and also tell us what his company does and how he's able to help people. All right, so we'll talk to Greg in just a moment here, folks. Don't forget, this is a live show, so if you want to be part of the show, 631-451-4039. 631-451-4039 brings you into this little humble studio here, and you can talk to me or Greg. All right, and of course, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Anchor, and Spotify. Spotify, of course, is the old podcast. All right, if that's your thing, well, go check me out over there. We are going to be moving forward with podcasting in its totality. All right, so I'm real excited about that. That's going to open up a whole other dimension for us. All right, radio is a lot more time constrained, with breaks and commercials. So the podcasting thing is going to be really cool, all right? And, look for us over there at Spotify, all right? So what do we want to say today? All right, first of all, I'm going to do this again because we didn't have any luck with this, but I'm going to keep at it, like I said, because Santa Claus is in the house 24/7 when it comes to Crash Course Radio. And I love giving away free stuff, so I want to give away something free today. All right, and that free includes some really cool stuff, all right, shirts, branded stuff, and, of course, a free all-expense trip paid to Dunkin' Donuts. All right, that's on Crash Course Radio. Hey, folks, don't forget about CollisionServiceNetwork.com. All right, CollisionServiceNetwork.com. All right, that is where you'll find all of the information, all right, that you need. All right, what's the mantra? If you've been listening to us, all right, you've been following the show, thank you very much. We appreciate your support. All right, so you know the mantra by now. We're giving you information and knowledge you need and can use and advice you can trust. All right, and that is never more true than today, folks. A lot of information out there, right? A lot of information. We have information highway and all this other nonsense. However, there's a lot of bad information, okay? Or information that's incomplete, not accurate, or at worst, just downright, nefarious and misleading and wrong. All right, so through CollisionServicesNetwork.com, all right, we have been able to help many people. All right, we've helped dozens of people across the whole spectrum of insurance and auto body concerns. All right, we've helped people find amazing body shops. We've also helped people connect them with personal injury attorneys. And we've also gotten involved on the claim side. All right, we've helped numerous individuals with respect to their claim. Liability questions, liability issues, settlement issues, total loss, all right, through the services of Greg and his company, Value Just. All right, we're able to connect people with Greg, and he's helped to change the outcome for them on total loss. All right, so a lot of good stuff happening here. CollisionServiceNetwork.com. Go to CollisionServiceNetwork.com and get more information. Hey, it dovetails. I like to say Crash Course Radio. All right, we are the true voice, okay, of the auto body industry. All right, there are others out there that claim that mantle, but I know that we are because why? I get to get behind this microphone every Tuesday afternoon and talk to the folks, which I'm doing right now, and I love doing that. All right, we're going to continue doing that for the balance of the year, thanks to the support, all right, and sponsorship of V&J Auto Body. Thank you very much, Chandler and James Verone. Appreciate your support. All right. So I get to talk to the folks, right? We get to communicate directly to you guys, all right, and give and inform people, and hopefully we're starting to turn the corner there on clarifying a lot of things when it comes to insurance and auto body. And I've spoken about that at length in the past. Insurance is something we need, right? We use, we have to have it. We can't exist without it. And yet we don't really dedicate too much to that, right? We run down, we buy insurance. I don't know, maybe some of us think about it a little more than others, but I'd probably reckon a bet that most of us we don't do a lot of thinking about it, right? We just get a car and I got to have insurance. Somebody says, go to this company, go to that company. They save you a lot of money. They're cheap. I love when I hear that one. They're cheap. The problem with cheap, folks, remember what I always like to say here? Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to the insurance industry. Trust me. I did almost 30 years in that wonderful industry. You do not want to be ignorant when you speak to the insurance company. It's not going to work out well for you. It's going to work out good for them, but not for you. All right. In fact, when I got in the industry, all right, way back in the late 80s, one of the cornerstones of that industry was they controlled access to information, right? There was no Google. There was no internet. There wasn't any place to go. So if you got involved with the insurance company, you pretty much had to listen to what they said and hope that what they were telling you was accurate and true. Of course, if I handled your claim, it was. But seriously though. So nowadays that's changed, right? Now you got the world's your oyster when it comes to where you can go to get information. The problem is that information isn't always accurate, truthful, all right, or complete. All right, so through Crash Course Radio, all right, we're helping to clarify the air on that, all right, and make people understand, what their rights, expectations are when it comes to dealing with their insurance company. And on the auto body side, it's no different. Okay, we're helping to illuminate the auto body side, right? We're helping to bring attention to the body shop side, right? And I always like to reference the man on the street version of Crash Course Radio, right? If I ran up to somebody this afternoon and I say, hey, I just heard your car sounds like crap. Boy, it sounds like you need brakes, or you got to have an oil change, or looks like the wheel bearings are going, or you need a tune-up. Five out of five people probably tell me right off the top of the head, I'm going to go to Uncle Tony's, I'm going to go to Super Joe's, my family's been having their car fixed there for years, blah, blah, blah. But if I did the same thing and ran right up to somebody and said, holy geez, that guy just hit your car, where are you going to go to get it fixed? What? All right, probably going to get a lot of, I don't knows. I never really thought about that. All right, so, we've been very successful in turning the corner on that, all right? And I talk about that at length. Right? You got to be more personally involved, folks. All right, thanks to COVID and the economy, a lot of us are owning these cars now. We're not leasing anymore. Leasing is a dying enterprise. All right, so we need to get more personally invested in our cars, and which means personally invested in the outcome. Okay, the outcome on the body side and the outcome on the insurance side. Okay, and on that light, all right, speaking about outcomes on insurance side, all right, we're going to have Greg in the next segment. and we're going to start talking to Greg, and we're going to start picking his brain on something that's very near and dear to everybody out there: total loss. All right, what does it mean? All right, and what you should expect if you're involved in that, and some other unique features involving it: diminished value. All right. Speaking of diminished value, here's question of the day. All right, everybody, put their thinking caps on. We have the smartest listeners, all right, on radio out there. What is diminished value? All right, people should be familiar with this, especially now you're owning your cars, folks. Listen up. What is diminished value? All right, you should know about that and understand it. All right, I think Greg does. Greg's shaking his head. All right, I know Greg does. All right, Greg's the expert. All right, so we get in the other segment. On the other side of the break, we're going to get to talk to Greg. All right, I'll see anybody on the other side of the break. All right, welcome everybody back to Crash Course Radio. I'm your humble host, Peter Crouch, and we have a really special guest with us here, Greg Hill from Value Adjust. Greg is a returning guest. Greg has been with us in the past. If you listen to this program, all right, you will remember that we've had Greg. We were fortunate to have Greg here, and Greg has been kind enough to donate some of his time today and come back and join us today. So, Greg, welcome to Crash Course Radio.
Hey, thanks, Peter. Thanks for having me again. I definitely appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you about total losses, diminished value, anything you have on your mind.
Sounds good to me. Hey, folks. What can I tell you? What does it get any exciting than this? Than talking about total losses? I tell you, we have more fun than should be legally allowed on this program. I know I'm kidding, of course. It's putting a little levity there, but you know, I talk about this a lot with the folks, Greg. I said, you know what, insurance stuff isn't, you know, it's not coffee table fare. It's not something that comes up at a barbecue or a picnic.
Right.
You know, hey, I was reading the back of my insurance policy the other day.
Yeah.
We just don't do that, right? Even myself being in the industry when I was a claim rep and stuff or an adjuster, I never bothered to really look at the policy that often. All right. But I try and tell the folks that it's very important that you do. All right. And one of the reasons why it is important is this thing called total loss. All right. And if you're involved in an accident, all right, there is a very real possibility that the insurance company may choose not to fix your car. All right. And as we know, okay, the insurance companies really determine repairability. Isn't that true?
Yep, correct. I mean, first-party claims, third-party claims, definitely first-party. I mean, they could really total out your car for a scratch on your vehicle. They really determine what course of action they want to take. If they feel it's going to be cost-effective to total your car and sell it as a salvage piece, that's what they're going to do. And it's very, very difficult to fight those decisions.
Right. Folks, now you hear what he just said? They could total your car for a scratch. Now, obviously, he's being a little forbearing there. I mean, we don't mean that, you know, you got a scratch. But what Greg is saying is if they make a determination, all right, for whatever reason, they can, and folks, let me tell you something, and Greg can speak to this. This is why you need to know what your rights and expectations and options are when it comes to your policy, because insurance companies' determination might be economical.
Probably 100% of the time. It's
right. Yeah. Now, both myself and Greg worked in the insurance industry. All right. So we're shaking our heads and laughing. You'll never hear them admit that. Although I did hear that from an insurance company rep, and he was a manager, and I wish I would have had him on tape. It's unethical, and they're not supposed to do that. They're not supposed to consider economics, right, when it comes to settlement. But they do, folks. As I've said here before, insurance companies are a business. All right, no different than any other business. They look for ways to cut costs when, where, and often, and it starts the minute you file a claim. And all the more reason why you need to get somebody like Greg here involved with his company, Value Adjust. So when you talk about what Greg just said about that the insurance company can total your car, let's say, like you said, Greg, right? Let's say you have damage that the body shop feels is repairable, but the insurance company's like, I think we're going to total the car. All right. That exposes that person, right? Whether it's a claimant or an insured or first party or third party, exposes them to potentially a loss, right?
Absolutely.
Taking a loss.
Sure. The car, I mean, basically when the insurance company decides to total your car, they run a computer database market research report,
right?
A really cookie cutter report for your vehicle, not specific in totality to your car.
Right.
And what that report spits out is the number they're going to offer you. And in many instances, that number might be reduced for perceived negotiated amounts. The condition of your vehicle could be incorrect. The options and packages could be incorrect. So that number could be completely incorrect to the car that you've now lost to a total.
Right. And what we also mean here too, folks, when Greg said that they can total your car, they really can. I mean, and I personally was involved in this when I was an independent. We had a shop that was aggressive, and they're going to remain nameless. They were tough. They were very aggressive. They weren't particularly insurance friendly. And we had contacted at that time the insurance. At that time, there was a Department of Insurance. There was a gentleman by the name of Barry Bistriff. We contacted him directly, and he told us specifically, you can total a car 10% if you want, right?
Yep.
As long as you're not hurting the insured, right? You have to, if it's going to be financially, if it's going to financially stress or put the owner of the car, in particular the first party, so in this case the insurance company insured, if it's going to leave them in a worse position financially, then you can't do that. You could, I mean they could, but you're going to probably be taken to court. All right, it's not going to work out. So, so what Greg is saying here is, think about this. All right, think about your car's at a shop. Insurance company looks at it. Guy throws his hands up in the air. I don't care. I'm totaling the car. I don't want to get involved. Looks like too much money. You're going to be in a rental for 30 days. We don't want to pay that. He's not going to tell you that. But that's part of what goes into the equation, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, constructive total loss is the salvage value of the vehicle, the rental, all rolled into one. It's the economic settlement, not the value of the car.
Saving a bundle, man. Get rid of this car. All right. But here's the problem, folks. Not only did they now put you in a financially bad position, right? Because you're losing a car that could be repairable. All right. And God forbid you have a loan on this thing.
Yeah, a lot of our customers come in with a loan. They're upside down on the car. They're out $3,000 and a vehicle now.
Bingo. That's why we have Greg on. Greg hit it right on the head. What condition is your loan? What position are you in on that loan? Okay, insurance company's going to wipe your car out, even though your body shop feels it's repairable. Right? It could be safely repaired, put back on the road, but they said, "Oh, the hell, we're gonna wipe it out." And you're caught holding the bag with a couple $1,000s still. So. That's why it's very important, folks, that you don't dismiss this process, all right? And if you're involved in it, all right, you need to contact Greg, okay? Greg and Value Adjust, all right? Because this is the exact situation where I can assure you, and I think Greg can speak to this, you're probably going to end up in a very weak position, all right? Especially like Greg said, if your loan is structured in a way that you're kind of what we like to say underwater or upside down. I mean, these are kind of like vernacular terms, but basically you're in a bad way. All right. You really need that car repaired. All right. But if it's not repaired and you're going to get a settlement, then you better make sure that settlement you're getting is sound.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, that's your only real right of your recourse, is getting the proper amount for the vehicle that they totaled out, because getting them to flip that total back to repairable, like you said, it's a feat. And I could probably count on one hand the amount of times I've seen it accomplished.
Right. Yeah. Once the insurance company, the salvage is very high, folks. They have a very big incentive to take your car and salvage it and collect money. They knock you out of the rental right away, so they're not paying the rental. So, Greg, let me ask you this: when it comes to the process, is the process universal? Are the systems that are applied to determine these values universal?
I wouldn't say they're universal, but they're mainly dictated by two of the larger computerized valuation companies, which is Mitchell and CCC.
Right.
They do market research reports, and I would say that probably 90% of the values are determined by these two companies. It's very rare that you see another valuation method out there. Some insurance companies may do an NAD or a red book, 2-book value, but those are the smaller. So I would say for the big guys, it's pretty much one specific method. The thing that varies the value on these two major companies is the appraiser that goes out to look at the car, putting in your options, conditions, packages, rating the unrelated prior damage of your car. There's still human error that can transpire between these two types of reports. And that can lead to thousands of dollars right there, not even to mention the fact that those reports are probably 30% off to begin with.
Right. Yeah. I mean, myself, I got involved with that with, I think it was State Farm. And then ironically, I didn't even know this, but I had ended up, this was a number of years ago, and I worked in a V&J, and unbeknownst to me, I had actually converted this woman's settlement where she gleaned another $8,000. Okay. And unbeknownst to me, State Farm was involved in a class action suit for just that thing. Apparently, they were tweaking. I don't know what they were doing. They were tweaking the settlement figures behind closed doors, so to speak. They were putting I think they were putting the offer value in there, but adjusting it to what they felt the car would actually sell for. That was a winner.
Yep.
Yeah, something else. All right, we got about 40 seconds left. When we come back, Greg, I want to drill down into the process.
Okay.
All right, the process itself. I want you to explain to the folks, what's involved and where in that process, all right, there's opportunity. There's often opportunity discovered for you and your company, all right, to help people out.
Sure.
All right, so we're talking to Greg Hill from Value Adjust, folks, all right? And Greg can be reached at 631, is this still a good number, 338-7869?
Office number 631-460-3037.
Okay. Yeah, that's 631-460-3037, folks. We'll be right back. For over 35 years, the Cacciatore family has provided state-of-the-art auto collision repairs. V&J Auto Body is not only certified to repair all makes and models, V&J is one of the few auto body repair shops certified by Tesla to repair and recalibrate their own automobiles, as well as other electric and hybrid vehicles. Detailed repairs combined with award-winning concierge service makes V&J the only choice for your collision repair needs. V&J will pick up your automobile wherever on Long Island you are, provide you with a rental, and deliver your vehicle when the job is complete. Too good to be true? Visit VJAutobody.com. That's VJAutobody.com. Come over and meet the crew. VJ Auto Body's 2 state-of-the-art facilities are equipped with the latest technologies in auto repair. Let V&J communicate with your insurance company for you and deliver back to you a detailed, perfectly repaired vehicle. Contact V&J Auto Body by visiting VJAutobody.com or call 631-226-0070. That's 631-226-0070. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the one and only Crash Course Radio, Long Island's first and only radio show dedicated to the privately owned and operated auto body industry across the grapefruited plain of Suffolk and Nassau County. And in a not-so-near future, we expect to blow this out statewide. All right, welcome to the show. You've been listening to the show for quite a while here. We appreciate your support. If you're just twisting the dial and you're stopping by and you're listening to me and you're wondering, scratching your head, what the heck is this guy talking about? Well, stick around. I guarantee you're going to learn something here, especially with our amazing guest in studio today, Greg Hill from Value Adjust. We were having a conversation, all right, involving a very serious topic that unfortunately will affect all of us at some point in our lives, or definitely one of our family or friends, and that's called total loss, right? When the insurance company decides we don't want to fix your car, right? Now, listen, there's a legitimate reason for that sometimes. But nevertheless, it is something that does occur. And folks, let me remind everyone, we are a live show, 631-451-4039. So if you'd like to call into the studio, if you have a question for Greg, all right, or if you're involved currently with a insurance claim and your car is a total, all right, and you need help with that, or maybe you think Greg can offer you some advice, all right, then for sure, give us a call, 631-451-4039, all right, and let's see if Greg can help you out. So, Greg, we were talking about total loss and the process. So let's drill down into that a little more, all right, because we identified that it's generally 2 processes that exist out there. One's Mitchell-based. And folks, when you hear these words, Mitchell, Motors, CCC, these are just simply different programs that the insurance companies utilize through various third parties, different companies, and it enables them to have a platform to generate these values and stuff like that. But let's go down a little deeper into that. So the 2 processes, all right, if somebody's car is a total and the insurance company says, hey, we're going to do an actual cash valuation on it. So what exactly goes in? Explain to the folks, if you would, what exactly is involved in that, and where are the, what I would call the pinch points, right? Areas where you've identified that folks can actually lose money, all right, or where insurance companies like to target, and where your company, all right, can help with that.
Yeah, so really both reports are a market research report, and the inputs that the adjuster, when they look at your vehicle, or they'll do it through VIN number sometimes in photos, that's where the value is really raised or lowered. So the adjuster, appraiser is going to be at your car. They're going to look at the condition of the body of the vehicle, the sheet metal, the seats, the carpets, the floors, the dashboard, and they're going to rate them average, above average, below average. Right off the bat, most appraisers, from what I see, go straight to average on everything. Right. You know, they're in and out a lot of times. They're not giving the car the due that it's deserved. So if you simply rate a car from average to dealer retail, you could probably, depending on the year, make, and model of your car, garnish another $2,000, $3,000 just from condition ratings on specific vehicles. Newer vehicles more, I would say, than older vehicles, but still, there's an adjustment there. So that's one thing that I'll definitely look at. If the condition ratings don't suffice when an adjuster looks at the car, they move to take or create a UPD estimate. That's unrelated prior damage. And the adjuster may be much too harsh on a UPD estimate. Again, taking a decrease off the ACV of your car above and beyond what should be warranted. So we will sometimes do in-person inspections, photo inspections, to make sure that that unrelated prior damage estimate accurately reflects the vehicle and its age. I've seen UPD estimates go from $2,500 down to $800. You know, that's a big increase right there just by doing a simple inspection and calling the adjuster out on not accurately documenting what the vehicle should be.
Right.
The other problem inherently with a CCC or Mitchell report is the comparable vehicles that they're using. Most of the time, these vehicles are 60 to 90 days old. They've already been sold. You can't find them on the marketplace. And when you do research these vehicles, you may find that they never existed at all at the dealership that you're calling. So that's another avenue where you can really put holes in these reports. Unfortunately, it's a case-by-case basis. Right. So you have to go through these steps. Then you have to look what's in the market for the base value to really determine what a car should be accurately valued at. Right. You can't just produce a cookie-cutter report for every vehicle. You know, the problem is that the insurance companies are doing, tens of thousands of these, probably a day. So they need to use a system that's this fast to move forward.
Right.
But unfortunately, it's at the detriment of the consumer.
Right. And, folks, when Greg's pointing out these various attributes on these reports that the insurance company uses to generate your actual cash value. And these are areas, folks, that, the average Joe, okay, you're going to look at it and go, oh, yeah, it looks good. Does it really look good? I mean, it might look good on paper, but, is it good financially? Is it good for you? Right, Greg? And that's what you got to be asking yourself, folks. Is it a good outcome for you? Forget the insurance company. It's going to be a good outcome for them. All right, looks pretty. The report's nice. Got all numbers, and maybe it's got different colors. Some of them have different colors now. They look real cool. Who cares? The bottom line is what kind of a check am I going to end up with? All right, so when Greg identifies these various attributes on there, these are things that Greg and his company can look at. All right, these are opportunity costs here where he can turn around and say, hey, we can do something with this here. All right, when he says UPD, that's unrelated prior damage. All right, now, Greg, a lot of that can be negotiated. Isn't that true? Like most aspects of the claim are negotiable?
Yeah, I mean, it can be negotiated. You could, but see, here's the thing. It is extremely difficult for a policyholder to negotiate their own loss, unfortunately. And that's why I started this business.
Right.
You're going to call in. You can point out all of these mistakes, and they'll change the mistakes. And you can give, and they will change the mistakes, and it may raise your value if you get a supervisor involved, and you have the tenacity to push it that far, which is a big problem.
And tenacity is a good word because that's what you're going to need.
It is tenacity because every time you call in, you're going to speak to a different representative, and you have to start right from scratch of the whole entire story and go through the whole process. But that being said, let's say you point out those facts, and then you provide them with comparable vehicles. They're going to take your comparable vehicles and they're going to put them in the mix with their comparable vehicles, and they're going to use their algorithms to average everything out. So the increase you're going to get probably still isn't what your car should be valued at.
Right.
It's different when you have an appraiser do it. There's terms in your policy contract that allow a hired appraiser to pull the insurance company away from that CCC and Mitchell report and let them negotiate on a different, more level footing that a policyholder just can't do by themselves.
You're talking about like the appraisal clause?
Exactly.
Right.
If the insurance company doesn't want to negotiate, we can go that route.
That's interesting. I never even considered that myself. So the appraisal clause, folks, I've mentioned that here briefly. This was something that was very popular in my day, all right, in the 80s. All right, it's kind of drifted. It's kind of this like nefarious thing that's in there, but nobody really talks about it anymore. But that's an interesting point, Greg. I mean, you could turn around and you can trigger the appraisal clause by empowering you or contracting with you. Because in essence, that's what you're doing, right? I mean, you're a licensed adjuster in the state of New York. Mm-hmm. You're acting on behalf of the insured, all right, to negotiate a better outcome for them.
Correct.
So it's the same thing as if we were getting involved with an estimate or how to repair the car.
Correct.
So that's interesting. I never thought about that. The attributes, when we talk about these reports too, at least it's been in my experience, that a lot of these guys are very cavalier in how they pick up different things on the car. What I mean by that is a lot of times you're going to have options missed or wrong classification of options, right? I'm sure a lot of these cars have so many different packages today. I mean, it was dizzy enough in my day. I can imagine today.
Yeah, well, I mean, packages add a tremendous amount of value. I'm dealing with a BMW right now with a Heritage package. It's a $9,000 package. Wow. That's a big deal, you know? And it's not just these big exotic packages that get missed. I've seen sunroofs missed. I have another car right now that is $15,000 miles overrated on the mile. They missed the mileage, you know? So anything can change the value substantially. Right. And it goes right down to automatic to manual transmission. Everything can be missed. It's really a matter of looking at that report and giving it its due diligence, which unfortunately doesn't seem to happen on the insurance company side.
Right. And again, there's a number of reasons for that, folks. Overworked, there's a whole cascade, but you're not concerned about that. You're only concerned about a fair and reasonable settlement for you, and that's what Greg at Value Adjust can do for you. All right, 631-451-4039 if you want to call in here and ask Greg any questions, all right, or ask for his assistance. I hear the low rider coming on board again. That means we're going to another break. When we get back, we're going to ask Greg about these different values themselves, all right, and how these values themselves can be very, very misleading, all right, and by how they create them and what's sometimes not seen in those values or how they attain them. All right, so we'll continue our conversation with Greg Hill from Value Adjust. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're going into the last segment here. I can't believe it, right? Always having a blast here on Crash Course Radio. I am your humble host, Peter Crouch, in studio with the amazing one and only Greg Hill from Value Adjust. 631-451-4039. 631-451-4039. If you'd like to be part of the program, if you have any questions for Greg, Greg is the professional here when it comes to total loss. His company has helped hundreds of people with respect to their totals and improving their settlement with the insurance company, right? Very important stuff. So continuing on that topic, me and Greg were having a discussion about an issue I have in my shop right now. As I tell you folks, right? I'm not just a talking head or an academic. I'm actually working in this business. That's right. Every day I'm in V&J Auto Body, right? We are a large 21st century shop. We are a big production shop, high-end shop. We do all high-end stuff. Very, very busy. All right, so I'm confronted with this exact problem many times over. And we have used the services of Greg and his company, and he's been very successful. And we have had very many satisfied customers. So thank you very much, Greg.
Well, thanks for recommending me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, folks, again, all right, if you're out there, all right, and you're listening to my voice and you're involved with an insurance company right now, all right, and you have a claim and your car is a total or there's a likelihood that it might be a total, all right, your first call should be to Greg. Should be to Greg, Value Adjust, and let them take a look. All right, no charge. Greg will look everything over for you. All right, if he feels he can help you, he's going to help you. All right, and believe me, that's more than worth the small investment it's going to be, all right, for Greg to help get your settlement to where it should be. All right, 631-451-4039. All right. But anyway, we were talking, right? And I have a Maserati in my shop. Right? It's a car of particular interest. That's what we used to say back in the good old days. Moderately expensive car. And the insurance company generated a report which was far below what we discovered was the actual cash value of the car. All right. And what I was asking Greg is, in this instance here, we generated our own value based on our sources, our resources. And it was very different from the insurance companies. And I felt that they couldn't defend theirs. And we attempted to engage them in negotiations regarding that problem. And they just flat out refused, basically, and threw their hands up in the air. So as far as they're concerned, this is the value of the car and blah, blah, blah. So, and again, folks, that's me, right? I'm a body shop, right? A 60-year-old guy. I did this my whole life. I worked for many, many major insurance companies, and I get to look like an idiot. All right. So this is why you need Greg. Okay. You can't trust me, folks. You can't do this alone. All right. You need Greg's help if you're in this predicament. All right. Because it's not something for the faint of heart. All right, and like Greg was saying earlier, you can call the insurance companies, and and you can try and do it yourself. And Greg used a good word to you've used a lot of tenacity. That's saying the least. You might get lucky, right? But more likely you're not. All right, more likely you're going to walk away very frustrated, upset, angry, and still in the same financial situation. All right, so you give Greg Hill a call, and we'll let Greg talk about this in a little more detail. So, Greg, I wanted to when we went to the break, I want to two things. First, what are some of the other things that your company could get involved with when it comes to a total loss situation? I mean, do we get involved with diminished value? Do you do anything with respect to loss of use or anything like that?
So yeah, we do. New York is a difficult animal when it comes to diminishment of value. So
Yes.
just in case your listeners aren't aware, diminishment of value is when you're in a not at fault accident. You were hit by somebody, another insured driver. Your car now has a negative VIN history, which may lower the value on your car on the resale. Right. Inherent diminished DV, it's called. It's based on the VIN, not repair related diminished value, which are two different things. So in New York, the criteria for diminished value is quite small. It's usually stipulated as being a vehicle that has appreciated in value past MSRP, an exotic car, a rare vehicle, a new car with very new car with low mileage and heavy damage. So it's really a small portion or segment of the marketplace that really qualifies in New York. Whereas in most other states, probably 90% of other states in America, you're looking at diminished value on most vehicles, up to a certain age, up to a certain mileage,
right.
Of course. So, with those cars that are appreciating, that are exotic, that are brand new, we do go after diminishment of value when we prove that this car on a resale market is now worth less due to this impact that it sustained, and we can get clients compensated for that.
Now, of course, when they talk about compensation, I'm sure Greg's going to agree with me here. We're not talking about they're not going to get the money back that they paid for the car.
Oh, no. Right. I mean, it's all relative to the amount of damage, how much of the car has been repainted, structural damage versus cosmetic damage, the value of the car, the collectability, the price. So it's a very varying scale. And let's be honest, it's not an exact science. There's many different ways to calculate DV, but usually they converge around the similar number. But, it depends, $100,000 car with let's call it $10,000 in damage, you may recover $10,000 to $15,000 in DV. Wow. It depends.
Right, and of course, and I've said this to people here before. I mean, the folks have heard me say this when the little bit I've talked about diminished value. There are formulas at the insurance company. Well, actually, there are formulas out there, right? And of course, not shockingly, folks, right? The insurance company, they choose the one that results in the least amount of payout. All right. Now, there are attorneys out there, all right, that will fight the good fight. You're going to pay. And they will try and force the insurance companies to use there's an alternative formula, which usually results in a much higher payout. Is that not true?
There's
formulas?
There is, absolutely. So insurance usually uses the Georgia, standard diminished value calculator that, takes into account or tries to take into account severity of damage versus ACV of the vehicle. But it's geared to produce a usually lower number than
folks. Once again, this is the emphasis here. I can't emphasize enough. You have to call Greg. Bottom line. You have to call Greg at Value Adjust, and you got to get Greg involved. All right, because the insurance company's a business, folks. I know that's not what you've been told. They're good guys. They're going to help us. Help is it's defined many different ways in the insurance industry. So, bottom line here is if you've had a loss, okay, and not with your insurance company, correct, Greg?
Well, for DV, right. There are states that will pay, not New York, but New York, you have to be third party.
Okay, so you can't sue your own insurance company. But if you have a good case, listen, if you have an expensive car, folks, all right, and you're getting involved in this, all right, and that car's wrecked, all right, you should be giving Greg a call, all right, because what Greg just said here, it seems like that would be a very useful application of this. If you have a very expensive vehicle or maybe a collectible vehicle, all right, certainly. You want to make sure that you're getting Greg Hill involved, all right, because you might be missing out on some, dealing money. Not to mention, it has left you in a much more diminished, hence the word diminished value position economically, right? You go to sell that thing. Right? Everybody finds out about this today when it's on Carfax and all this other stuff.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you're really into, classic and collectible cars, somebody may say, send somebody over to do a pre-purchase inspection on your car and figure out where the Bondo is and what's been replaced. And, so it's absolutely, you're not going to receive the correct money for that type of vehicle after it's been damaged.
Yeah. So you basically get screwed, all right? So you give Greg and his folks a call. We got about a minute left. So, Greg, why don't you tell the folks how they can get a hold of you?
Sure, yeah. My office line is 631-460-3037. Just follow the prompts. My website is valueadjust.com. And I can always, there's actually a customer fill box there that you can put your information in, and we usually get back to you within a day and try to walk you through the process.
Right. And of course, you can always call here at Collision Services Network, all right, collisionservicenetwork.com. All right. We hope to be linking Greg's website with ours in the near future. All right. But you can contact collisionservicenetwork.com, 631-452-2569. And we, of course, will make sure that we reach out to Greg. All right. And we put him in touch with you. Hey, folks, it's the end of today's amazing radio show. All right. Please check me out on Instagram. I'm there quite a bit. I do a lot of videos. I'll be doing another one this week. I know I haven't done it in quite a while. All right. Everybody have a safe week. All right. Looks like spring is trying to get here. All right, so let's start enjoying the sun, and we'll see everybody back here next week.